Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. If someone had asked me a week before it happened, I would have said my marriage was solid. Karen and I had been married for 6 years. We weren't the kind of couple who checked each other's phones or argued over every little thing. We trusted each other, and I believed that was enough. Then her friend Jessica announced her bachelorette party in Las Vegas. "It'll just be 3 days," Karen said while folding clothes into her suitcase. The girls booked a hotel on the Strip. Dinner, a pool party, maybe a show. Nothing crazy. I nodded. "Have fun. Just don't come back broke." She laughed. No promises. The night before she left, we were sitting in the living room watching a movie. Karen got up to grab drinks from the kitchen, leaving her phone on the coffee table beside me. I wasn't looking at it. Then the screen lit up. A message preview appeared before my eyes. "This weekend is going to be wild. The girls already found a group of guys to party with. It's going to be so much fun." I stared at the screen for a second. No flirting, no names, no confession. Just enough to make something in my gut tighten. Karen walked back into the room, picked up her phone, and smiled. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing." She sat beside me and kept watching the movie like nothing had happened. I didn't mention the message. I didn't ask who sent it. I didn't start an argument over something I couldn't prove. The next morning, I loaded her suitcase into the car. She kissed me. "I'll miss you." I smiled back. "I'll see you in a few days." I watched her drive away. Then I walked back inside, picked up my phone, and called a licensed private investigator whose number a client had once given me. "Samuel Turner," the man answered. "I need someone followed," I said. There was a brief silence. "When do you need us to start?" "Immediately." "Do you have a reason to believe your wife is cheating?" I looked out the window at the empty driveway. "I have a reason to be suspicious," I said. "Whether she's cheating is what I'm hiring you to find out." "Understood," Samuel replied. "I'll get my team on it right away." I ended the call. Truthfully, I hoped the investigator would come back with nothing. But if that message meant what I thought it did, I wasn't going to wait until it was too late to protect myself. Samuel called me later that afternoon. "My team is in Las Vegas," he said. "We'll stay on your wife until she boards her flight home. You'll get facts, not opinions." "That's all I want," I replied. The first update came that evening. Karen had checked into the hotel with Jessica and the rest of the bridal party. Nothing unusual. They had dinner together, laughed, took pictures, and walked through one of the casinos. I almost felt foolish for hiring someone. Then my phone rang again just after midnight. "Your wife left the group about an hour ago," Samuel said. "She wasn't alone." He texted me 3 photos. The first showed Karen standing outside a rooftop bar with a man I had never seen before. The second showed them laughing while he rested his hand on her lower back. The third showed them walking away from the rest of the group. I looked at the pictures for several seconds before setting my phone down. I didn't call Karen. There was still room for an explanation. The next morning, Samuel called again. "We've confirmed the man's name. Aaron Bennett. Keep going." We followed them to his hotel last night. I waited. They entered together around 12:40 a.m. And they didn't come out until 8:15 this morning. There wasn't much left to wonder. Still, I kept my voice steady. "Do you have photos?" "You'll have them within 5 minutes." The pictures arrived one after another. Karen and Aaron walking into the hotel. Karen leaving the elevator on his floor. Karen and Aaron coming out together the next morning wearing different clothes than the night before. I stared at them, then locked my phone. By Saturday evening, Samuel called again. "They're together again." "They're still seeing each other?" "Yes." This time they had dinner at a steakhouse before walking through an outdoor shopping area. Another set of photos arrived. Aaron bought Karen a silver necklace. He fastened it around her neck himself. Then he kissed her. Sunday morning brought the final report. "They spent both nights together," Samuel said. "We've documented everything with timestamps, photographs, surveillance records where available, and witness statements." "Anything else I should know?" Samuel paused. "There is." "What?" "Aaron Bennett is married." I leaned back in my chair. "Good," I said. He sounded surprised. "Good? If this ends up in court, the truth won't only belong to me." I thanked him, ended the call, and immediately scheduled the first appointment with a divorce attorney for Monday morning. Karen was due home later that evening. She had no idea our marriage was already over. Karen walked through the front door around 8 that evening, carrying a shopping bag and wearing a smile like she'd just come back from any normal weekend. "There he is," she said, wrapping her arms around me. "I missed you." I hugged her back just enough to avoid making a scene. "Glad you made it home." She handed me a small box. "I brought you something." Inside was a Vegas keychain with a tiny poker chip attached. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "I wanted to." She rolled her suitcase toward the bedroom and started telling me about the trip. "You wouldn't believe Jessica. She wanted to stay out until 3 every morning." I nodded. "We mostly stayed together the whole time, ate way too much food, lost a little money at the casino. Typical girls' trip." Every sentence was another lie. I already knew exactly where she'd been. Later that evening, while Karen unpacked upstairs, my phone buzzed. "Samuel, the full report has been delivered to your email. Hard copies are on the way." "I'll look at it." I sat in my office and opened the file. It wasn't just pictures. It was organized minute by minute. Photos, hotel entry times, restaurant receipts, video stills, even security footage showing Karen and Aaron entering his hotel floor together. There was no room for doubt. The next morning, Karen kissed me before leaving for work. "Love you," she said. "Have a good day." As soon as she drove away, I headed downtown to meet my attorney. Her name was Linda Reynolds. She flipped through the investigator's report without saying much. Finally, she looked up. "This is thorough." I wanted facts. "You got them." "I want to file today." She nodded. "We can." We spent the next 2 hours going through everything. Bank accounts, retirement funds, the house, insurance, investment accounts. Anything that needed protecting was handled before Karen even knew I had spoken to a lawyer. Before I left, Linda slid a stack of papers toward me. "Once these are filed," she said, "there's no turning back." I picked up the pen without hesitation. I made that decision the moment she walked into another man's hotel room. I signed every page. When I walked out of the office, I wasn't wondering what I should do. That part was finished. The only thing left was deciding when Karen would find out her weekend in Vegas had cost her everything. I didn't confront Karen that night, or the next. I had a reason. My attorney needed a few more days to finish the paperwork and make sure everything had been filed correctly. Until then, I wasn't giving Karen a chance to move money, hide assets, or rewrite the story. So I waited. Not because I was uncertain, because timing matters. Karen, on the other hand, acted like nothing had happened. Wednesday evening, we were eating dinner when she smiled and said, "Jessica's already talking about doing another girls' trip next year." I looked up from my plate. "Really?" "Yeah, somewhere tropical this time." I couldn't help but laugh. "What?" "Nothing," I said. "Just thinking." She narrowed her eyes but let it go. The following afternoon, my attorney called. "We're ready." That was all I needed to hear. I went home a little earlier than usual and placed a thick folder on the kitchen table. When Karen walked in, she smiled. "You're home early. I've been waiting for you." She set her purse down. "Everything okay?" "Sit." My tone made her pause. She slowly pulled out a chair. I opened the folder and slid the first photograph across the table. It showed her standing outside Aaron's hotel, smiling at him. The color drained from her face. What's this?" I didn't answer. I placed down another photo. Karen holding Aaron's hand while crossing the street. Then another. The two of them kissing outside the steakhouse. Her breathing became uneven. "Frank." I laid down one more picture. The hotel surveillance image. Karen and Aaron stepping into the elevator together just after midnight. She stared at it for several seconds before whispering, "I can explain." "Go ahead." It wasn't what it looks like." I almost smiled. "It looks like you're walking into another man's hotel room." She swallowed hard. "I had too much to drink." I reached into the folder again. "This was breakfast the next morning." I slid over another photo showing them leaving the hotel together. "And this was dinner that night." Another picture. "And this was the jewelry store." A receipt landed beside it. Karen covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. "I made a mistake." I finally spoke. "No." She looked up. "A mistake is taking the wrong exit on the highway. This was a series of decisions." Without another word, I placed the divorce papers in front of her. "They've already been filed." For the first time since she'd walked into the house, Karen looked genuinely afraid. She stared at the divorce papers like they weren't real. "No," she whispered. "You didn't file." "I did." "You would have talked to me first." "I am talking to you." She pushed the papers away. "Frank, please, just listen." "I've listened all week." She shook her head, tears running down her face. It was the alcohol. Everyone was drinking. I wasn't thinking. I folded my arms. Don't blame alcohol for something you chose to do. She opened her mouth but couldn't answer. It only happened once, she said. I slid another photograph across the table. It showed her and Aaron having dinner the following evening. You went back. Her shoulders dropped. I don't know why I did. You knew exactly why. She tried again. I felt caught up in everything. Jessica wanted everyone to have fun. It just happened. No, I said firmly. Jessica didn't walk into that hotel room. You did. She buried her face in her hands before looking back at me. I'll do whatever you want. I said nothing. I'll cut off everyone who was on that trip. Silence. I'll go to counseling. I looked her straight in the eyes. None of those ideas crossed your mind before Vegas. She stood up and grabbed my arm. Please don't throw 6 years away. I calmly removed her hand. I didn't. She froze. You did. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, she asked the question she had been avoiding. Is there any chance you'll change your mind? No. The answer came so quickly that it seemed to knock the air out of her. She began crying harder. I love you. I shook my head. You loved what I gave you. Trust, stability, a home. If you loved me, you wouldn't have traded our marriage for a weekend. She sank back into the chair. I never thought you'd actually leave. I noticed. That night, she slept in the guest room. The next morning, I left for work before Karen woke up. A couple of hours later, I sent her a text. Be gone before I get home. Take whatever belongs to you. The house stays with me. She called almost immediately. I declined the call. Then she called again. I declined that one too. By lunchtime, my phone had 23 missed calls. She kept leaving voicemails, sending texts, and begging me to answer. I didn't. When I got home that evening, she was gone. The guest room was empty. Half the closet in the master bedroom had been cleared out. Her car wasn't in the driveway. I changed every lock on the house that same night and updated the garage door code. Then I blocked her number. From that point on, if Karen wanted to say something, she could do it through her attorney. As far as I was concerned, the marriage was already finished. The paperwork just had to catch up. Blocking Karen's number didn't stop her. It just forced her to get more desperate. 2 days later, my receptionist called my office. Frank, your wife is here. I don't have a wife, I replied. I have someone I'm divorcing. There was a short silence. She says she isn't leaving. I'll handle it. When I walked into the lobby, Karen stood up immediately. We need to talk. We don't. Please, just 5 minutes. I've said everything I needed to say. People had started looking. She stepped closer and lowered her voice. I'll do anything. You already did. I walked past her and left through the front doors. She followed me all the way to the parking lot. Frank, I kept walking. Look at me. I unlocked my truck. She grabbed my arm. I pulled it away. Don't touch me again. She stared at me for a second, breathing hard. You can't just erase 6 years. I didn't. I got into my truck and drove away. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The following Saturday morning, I was inside the house making coffee when I heard shouting outside. By the time I opened the front door, Karen was standing beside my truck. She had a metal key in her hand. A long scratch ran from the front fender all the way to the tailgate. Before I could say a word, she slammed the key down the side again. The sound of metal scraping paint echoed through the driveway. Karen! She turned toward me with tears streaming down her face. You ruined my life. No, I answered. You did. Instead of stopping, she kicked the driver's door hard enough to leave a dent, then ripped the side mirror forward until it snapped. My neighbor, Mr. Collins, came outside. I saw everything, he shouted. Karen looked around and finally noticed the security camera mounted above my garage. Her expression changed instantly. She realized she just destroyed my truck on camera. I pulled out my phone. She took one step toward me. Frank, don't call. I dialed anyway. When the dispatcher answered, I kept my voice calm. My name is Frank. I need an officer at my address. Someone just vandalized my vehicle, and it's all on video. Karen started crying again. This time, I didn't feel sorry for her. 20 minutes later, the police placed her in the back of a patrol car. On Monday morning, my attorney filed for a restraining order. From that moment on, Karen wasn't allowed to contact me directly. Everything would go through lawyers, exactly where it belonged. The restraining order changed everything. Karen couldn't call me. She couldn't show up at my house. She couldn't come to my office pretending she just wanted to talk. If she needed to say something, her attorney could say it. That was exactly how I wanted it. A week later, my lawyer called. "I have something you should know." "What is it?" "Karen is changing her story." I wasn't surprised. "To what?" "She's claiming the affair wasn't physical." I almost laughed. Did she forget about the investigator? Apparently. I told Linda to send over everything we had, every photograph, every timestamp, every report, every piece of evidence. If Karen wanted to lie in a legal proceeding, she was going to do it in front of facts. 2 days later, Linda called again. Her attorney contacted me. And? They've stopped disputing the affair. Good. There wasn't much else to say. The evidence had done the talking. Around the same time, I decided someone else deserved the truth. Aaron Bennett's wife. I asked Linda whether there would be any issue with sharing the investigator's report after removing anything unrelated to the divorce. "There won't be," she said. "Just stick to the facts." That's exactly what I did. I never met her in person. I mailed the evidence along with a short letter. No insults, no threats, just the truth. About a week later, she called me. Her voice was calm. "I received what you sent. I'm sorry. So am I." There was a long silence. "I confronted him," she finally said. "And?" "He admitted everything." I closed my eyes for a moment. "I figured he would. Thank you for telling me. You deserve to know." She quietly replied, "So did you." That was the last time we ever spoke. Word eventually spread through both families. Not because I blasted anything on social media. Not because I wanted revenge. Because the truth has a way of reaching people. Karen's parents apologized to me for what happened. I told them they didn't owe me anything. Her choices belonged to her, not them. By then, Karen had stopped fighting the divorce. Maybe she realized there was nothing left to fight for. Or maybe she finally understood that every decision she made in Vegas had led her exactly where she was now. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Everything had gone the way my attorney expected. Because I acted before confronting Karen, my finances were protected, the paperwork was clean, and there was no confusion about why the marriage had ended. The investigator's report had answered every question before anyone had the chance to invent new ones. People kept asking if I felt like I'd won. I always gave the same answer. There wasn't a winner. There was only one person who refused to lose himself. Life slowly settled into a routine again. I worked, spent more time with family, and got back into the hobbies I had ignored for years. The house felt quieter, but it also felt honest. I didn't have to wonder who was texting Karen anymore or question where she had been. One Saturday afternoon, I stopped at a grocery store on my way home. As I walked toward my truck, I heard someone behind me. "Frank." I turned around. Karen stood a few feet away. She looked different. Not because of her clothes, because the confidence she once carried was gone. "I know I'm not supposed to talk to you," she said quietly. "I just wanted 1 minute." I checked the parking lot. We were in a public place. 1 minute. She nodded. "I've replayed that weekend 1,000 times." I said nothing. I thought it would stay in Vegas. I thought I could come home and pretend it never happened. "That was your second mistake." She looked at me. "My second?" "The first was getting on that plane after you decided those vows didn't matter." She lowered her eyes. "I'd give anything to take it back. You had that chance." "What do you mean?" "Every hour you were there, you had another chance to walk away. You didn't." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I'm sorry." "I believe you." She looked surprised. "You do?" "I believe you're sorry you got caught. Whether you're sorry for what you did doesn't change anything." She didn't argue. For the first time since all of this started, she simply accepted my words. I opened my truck door. Before getting in, I looked at her one last time. "I hope you learn from it, Karen. But you won't learn that lesson with me." I climbed into the truck, started the engine, and drove away without looking in the mirror. The day she left for that bachelorette party, I thought I might lose everything. Instead, I lost someone who had already chosen to leave. Looking back, Vegas didn't destroy my marriage. It revealed that it had only been held together by trust. And the moment Karen threw that away, there was nothing left to save. Thank you for watching.